What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about moves that I've banned in training and my rationale for doing so. So first of all, let's start with what my criteria is for moves that I allow versus moves that I don't allow. It's very simple. It's injury risk, okay? So I do not ban moves based on them being uncomfortable, based on them being used for pain compliance to get someone to move and do something, or just because it's mean or dirty, okay? Those are all really stupid reasons to ban something, okay? If something is dirty, but it works and it carries a low injury risk, there's absolutely no reason you should ban that move. So, cross faces, shoulder pressure, smothers, what time is it grips where you drive your forearm into someone's chin to get them to move. Any of that stuff is fine, okay? Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it carries a very low injury risk. And because of that, I have no problem allowing my students to do that. In fact, I encourage them to do it because it's also going to make them tougher. The moves that you want to ban in your school are moves that carry a high injury risk. And I have separate things that I don't allow white belts to do versus things that I don't allow anybody to do. So things that I specifically don't allow white belts to do: neck cranks or heel hooks, okay? Spinal locks like the twister, I have allowed before as long as it's applied slowly and with control, because there's a big pain indication before the really bad stuff starts to happen from that. But neck cranks can come on too quickly. So, sometimes you might be trying to choke somebody and it accidentally turns into a crank. That's different. That's not something I would get upset about. It's just something that I would correct the technique on to make sure that they're actually implementing a choke. Because at the end of the day, it's also going to make it a stronger move. But implementing neck cranks when you're newer or on a newer person is risky because that person may be stubborn. They may not know what the injury risk to what's being done to them is. So it's not a good idea. Same thing with heel hooks. Now, the danger that I've said before that comes with heel hooks is not the damage that it causes, because most times a heel hook will just cause a grade 1 MCL tear, maybe a grade 2. That would be an injury where a grade 1, you're out for about 4 to 6 weeks, before full recovery. Grade 2 will be about 3 months. Past that point, it gets really bad, but generally speaking, the initial injury you get from heel hooks is not as serious as tearing your shoulder from an Americana or a Kimura. Yet I allow the Americana and Kimura. Why? Because those moves have a pain indicator before the break occurs. The heel hook does not. You need to be trained to recognize when the heel hook is about to break something in your knee, okay? It's not a pain indication. It just feels like a weird pressure, a weird stretchy feeling in your knee. And if you're not accustomed and used to what that feels like, and you don't know what the heel hook looks like, then yes, there is a very good chance you're going to get injured because you're going to fight through something, or you might turn the wrong way when that heel hook is being applied to you. So for white belts, I don't allow heel hooks to be applied unless they're doing a leg lock drill with supervision where I'm watching them and I can tell them when they're in danger. Because it is important to teach them when you should tap from the heel hook. But I wouldn't let them do it in unrestricted live rolling scenarios, okay? Now, what moves do I ban overall? What moves do I not allow anybody to do, including my brown and black belts, my upper ranks? There's really only 2. I do not allow flying scissor takedowns, and I do not allow jumping guard pulls. Why? Because flying scissor takedowns, if you miss with them, or if your opponent reacts in a way that you don't expect, you'll slam right into their knee, or you'll slam right into the bottom of their ankle, and it'll collapse their leg in, and they'll get severely injured as a result, okay? It's also just a stupid move. It doesn't work nearly as well as just rolling for the knee bar, because you can sprawl out of the scissor takedown. You can't really do the same when someone rolls for the knee bar because you're already inverted underneath them, but a simple sprawl will kill a scissor takedown, so even in terms of its effectiveness, it's not as good as other options which are safer. Jumping guard pull, I think, is pretty obvious, especially if you're rolling and it starts getting sweaty on the mats. It's very easy for you to jump guard on someone and they just slip on the floor, and because of that, your weight is going onto them in a way that is going to break their leg, okay? I've seen this happen in many videos in competition. Usually it happens to white belts, but still, you don't want to ever jump your weight onto your opponent. You don't ever want to jump forward onto your opponent and force them to carry your weight like that, okay? That's a big difference, by the way, between having someone hunched over in a front headlock and you just jumping up and going down on your back. You're not putting your weight forward onto them. You're not forcing them to carry your weight in the same way. You're forcing them to hunch down and come forward. So I would make that distinction between guard pulls where you jump up and you're in a front headlock, guillotine situation. Very different than when you're just wrestling in a neutral position and you have to launch yourself forward at them versus drop straight down. If that makes sense to you guys, I hope it does. That's the distinction I would make between those two, okay? Jumping guard by just slamming your weight into someone is very dangerous, and you don't want to do that. Other things that I don't allow anyone to do, but these are pretty standard. Everybody does this, small joint manipulation, okay? It's very easy to break someone's finger if you grab it and pull it to strip a grip, or at least hurt them. So that's not something you want to do. Is it effective in a fight? Absolutely, okay? If you're fighting in a self-defense situation, of course that's something you can do, but it's not really something you need to train. It's very easy to just make that adjustment if you're peeling grips, if you're in an actual fight. Additionally, slamming, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Don't slam, okay? That's really stupid. What you can do, so for instance, if I'm being put in a triangle and I deadlift someone up and I have him above my shoulders, if I'm watching the roll or I'm watching, I tell my students when it comes to those situations, like, all right, if someone lifts you above the shoulders, that's it. You respect the slam, you let go of the triangle, you guys both reset from standing, okay? I borrowed that rule from Brian Brown. He had that rule at his tournaments, and I think that's a fantastic rule. So credit to Brian. I think that's a great rule. And I have it in training as well. If you lift somebody up above your shoulders, okay, you obviously don't slam them. You each just let each other go. You start from neutral, okay? We respect the slam. Guillotines are a little bit different because you're actually not in nearly as much danger of getting slammed onto your head as you are in a triangle if you're in a guillotine position. So that I would allow to continue. Obviously, don't slam them back, which is something I've seen some people do in MMA. Just no slamming in general, guys, okay? No slamming in general. I was only making a point about the triangle out in a live setting. I would have the two people respect the ability of the other person to slam, let go of the submission, and we would start from neutral. But you definitely don't want to actually slam people. It's very simple. They can get seriously hurt. Concussions can happen. If it's severe enough, brain bleeds can happen. We can get brain damage. So we don't want that, okay? So those are the moves that I've banned, and I've given you the rationale behind them. Again, I'm going to repeat this one more time. It's not about how uncomfortable or painful the move is, okay? It's about the injury risk potential of the move. That is the criteria by which you determine whether something should be banned. So do not misconstrue this video to say you should ban pain compliance, cross-facing, smothering, that kind of stuff. No, absolutely not. You should train them. It'll make you more resilient. It'll make your students more resilient, and they'll better know how to deal with that kind of pressure. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hope you liked the video. Make sure you share it so you can spread it out into the jiu-jitsu community. Make sure everybody knows these are moves that are really dangerous. We don't want them being drilled in a live setting. If you disagree or you want to expand on something that I said, please be sure to leave a comment. What moves do you think should be banned? What moves do you think are banned in tournaments, should not be banned? Let us know. Let's figure it out. Make sure you like the video if you did like it. Subscribe if you're new. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.